Hey everyone, this is Joachim Comic Center, and this is yet another episode of Finding Fandom, episode 16, I want to say. And in this one, I met up with Kristen from Fangirls Assemble, and I just had a great time talking with her. If we were to record everything that we chatted about, it would have been a 3 hour long interview, but yeah, we stayed on and chatted for quite a while after this conversation, and I hope you can see why, because we really bonded about the community and the hobby itself, on how each of us viewed it, and talked about TV shows, our tattoos, and yeah, later on we went into a general life discussion afterwards, but I hope that you can see the value in finding a new friend here on YouTube, or always being a friend, but finally meeting up and talk to each other digital eye to eye. And so I won't keep her from you anymore. Here is Kristen from Fangirls Assemble on the Omnibus Collectors Network. Here we go. Hey, Kristen. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing well. We were just talking about what times we're in different time zones, obviously, and we're both half asleep, but we're going to do it. It's going to be great. I appreciate you waking up for me.
Oh, good. The half asleep show. That's it. Hopefully that's, of course, tilting towards us and not our audience now.
Right. We'll wake them up while we try to wake up.
We'll wake them up with the good conversations and heavy topics.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've been following this show. I know that because I've seen your comments. I've heard you chat about it with other YouTubers whilst on other live stream shows. So I'm very thankful for you for finally being here. Also.
Absolutely. I know everyone who's been on your show, I feel like, is like, I watched you forever, but I really feel like I've watched you forever. Like, you've been on like 10 years or so, right? Like,
it's going towards that now. Next summer is going to be
that's amazing.
10 years.
I feel like I was one of the OG watchers.
Definitely.
So it's really great to be able to actually talk to you in real life.
You've seen me grow in some sort of manner on YouTube, and
you've just gotten better.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about you, but
I'm just complimenting you.
Thank you. But I personally, I've really just started loving making videos, because in the beginning it was just a tool to show people whatever I got into my collection, and whatever I had, that's what I needed. A Sony hand cam phone or my mobile phone, and that was it. But an interest just started to grow, wanted to make more cinematic approach videos and not just turn on and off. I just wanted to give something more, and that was more pleasing for me than others. I think that's how it should be when making any video, I think.
Totally.
So let's go back here. This is the standard question that I open up with, because it's so simple.
Yep.
How did you discover comic books?
Now, let me take you back in time. I definitely.
Wind chimes.
I should have brought some. I'm sure Reid has some somewhere. Reid's my husband, for anyone watching don't know. He's a musician. So he has like all the things around. But anyway, when I was a kid, for sure, I definitely remember getting comic books, like, Toy Story comics and stuff like that. But I didn't really get into it until, I feel like I have to tell my dad's story to tell my story. So my dad, super like biggest Marvel dude you'll ever find, knows all the old stuff because that's what he grew up with. Like, that was his stuff, right? And he tells this story to me all the time, because he tells it to random people, I guess, but it's always going to be like the biggest regret of his life, that he sold off his entire comic book collection. And I'm talking like the singles that are worth money now, right?
Okay.
For a measly amount that he'll never tell me, because he's like, definitely never should have done it. It was definitely a too small of amount. And he doesn't know to this day why he did it, but I guess he was just like over them, right? So this was like back in the day before I was born.
Okay.
Stole off his whole comic book collection.
Was this before comic book speculation even was a thing about rare comic books?
I think so, yeah. Because way before, I feel like that happened really with the internet more than anything, right?
So before it really was a secondhand market to make a profit on.
Yeah, I feel like I could be wrong. My dad's probably going to watch this later and correct me.
If that's the case, who can blame him? He didn't know that there was a market.
It was definitely, I'm right on the time period, but I feel like he told me he was like in a parking lot and like opened his trunk and there's all his comics. It was like one of those exchanges, right? You know, not a drug deal, comic book deal.
Stop showing up. What is this? Reissue?
Nerd
Reprint?
material. Yeah. Reprint wasn't even a word then. But anyway, he tells me that because when I was 11, my appendix ruptured. Oh. And I promise there's a point to this as far as comic books. But that meant I was in the hospital for quite a long time. I remember it as like a month or so, which is intense. I had like 2 surgeries. Because it ruptured, they had to like go back in and like get all the stuff out. And it was a whole situation. And, you know, my parents were there like all day, every day. And my dad was like, okay, let's get her some stuff to read because she's bored and I'm bored. Everybody's bored. So he goes to the comic shop for the first time in a really long time and gets, I believe it was a trade of X-Men. I feel like he said it was Days of Future Past. I don't remember. Oh. But I believe that's what it was. So he goes to the hospital, brings it back, and I'm asleep because most of the time in the hospital during this time, I'm really sleeping more than anything. You know, I'm recovering. And he said I was asleep, so he just read through it, and then it was just never the same. He was immediately back in. To this day, he's been in. And so that got him back into it, right? Okay. So from then on, excuse me, I'm half asleep. But from then on, he became like a Wednesday warrior again. You know, I would go to the comic shop with him.
Wednesday warrior.
Yeah, that's what they call him, I think. And eventually he got out of that, though. He got out of the singles game entirely. I kind of got him out, I feel like. Because I remember when I got my first omnibus, he was like, this is too big. Oh. He's like, I don't want to deal with this. This is it's too big. But he got over that, and now he's in. But yeah, it's like when I was a teenager and stuff, I would always go to the comic shop with him. I was really into Buffy the Vampire Slayer back then. I wanted to get all the Dark Horse comics that were coming out. I was a weirdo, though. I would get like the photo covers of the single issues, which is, I feel like now, like nobody wants to do that. But
no,
back then,
definitely not. I feel the same.
Oh, and I think about it now and I cringe, right? I'm like, why do I have all those with the photo covers? Like, what was I thinking? But that's what I wanted. And yeah, I feel like I got even more into it in college, and I really started collecting. And I didn't want singles at that point. I was like, oh yeah, there's like trades and stuff. I'd much rather do that. I even took a graphic novels class in college, which was interesting.
What type of class? Is it writing class or drawing class?
Just reading graphic novels and talking about them. Like the dream class, right?
So it's a great book circle then. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, there were only like 10 people. They didn't offer it the next semester. It was like a first time thing they were trying out. And I think not enough people cared. But I did.
Would have brought the attention.
Yeah. Yeah. We did like Watchmen and... what else do we do? Yeah.
That didn't work?
I mean, it should have, right? And then there were some random ones that I can't even remember. And we did like Ghost World, you know, the Daniel Clowes book.
Never heard of it.
No, I think that's near me. Yeah. You may recognize the cover, maybe. Like the art.
I remember the art. That
maybe
seems familiar.
But that one was fun because it's about these 2 like angsty teens. And I was like the only one in the class that liked it. And we would always like do kind of a report and then talk about them, you know? So it felt like that was my first taste of talking about comics in front of people. Was just like, oh, I don't like this, but you did. You know, it was very much like that. So I kind of got used to it then, I guess. Because now I go on, and if I don't like something, I hear about it too.
Oh, we know that. There's a reason for that name.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, you know?
Yeah. Comic Slave. This is a question that I bring up, saying that it's not a type of attack, but you're one of the first people that I interviewed that actually has their bookcase behind them now for me to... Oh, wait, there was Omar. But still, how... Do you know how many books you have?
It's funny you say that. Because, you know, as I know... Well, not an attack, is that what you're saying?
yeah, and this is just my general, let's say, curiosity.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of people like keep that stuff, records of those things. I don't. I'm very like, I keep Goodreads for my reading. I know exactly what I've read, when I've read it from the past like few years. Yeah. I've been doing that, and I love that. But to actually count, I think I just sell off stuff too much to know. You know what I mean? Like, I have piles around of stuff where I'm like, I've read this, I'm not going to read it again. I'm giving it away, or I'm taking it like to a shop I have that'll buy it back for like pennies, but I don't need it here. So no, I don't know, but it's a lot. It's too much at this point. It's too much for sure. Okay. But I've been really good about giving stuff away though. So
that's nice. I mean, too much, that's also a sort of personal preference for measurement, I guess. I mean, because I guess there's people that feel that this is too little, I want more. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I feel that I have sort of a good amount. I mean, I tilted towards the space that I've given to my collection, like 2.5 Billy shelves. But I have some books now in the closet as well, because I used to have like 5 shelves of Billies. But I mean, let's see, what did Omnibody say? Mitch, he said that constraint breeds creativity. So I try to be more creative, as well as I try to be more like intentful and aim for maybe better comics, more high quality, and be more selective, I guess, with stories. I mean, maybe I'll read this for the last time, and so on and so forth, to give myself more space for other books, because I don't want it to spread again to that amount, because there was so many years in a row where just add another shelf, that's no problem, I have space. But now I'm so fine with the space that I got, so I don't want to ruin that by just adding more shelves again. I could, but it would mess up all my other spaces.
Yeah, and I've run out of shelf room. I just can't. There's no more, or I don't want to put a shelf somewhere. You know.
Aren't those Calyx shelves?
Yes. Yeah. And so there's one over here, and this is another one, and there's another one you can't see.
And have you like double stacked those? I mean, books in front of books and everything?
I haven't gone that far. Although there are, like, I'm rearranging right now, so it's a little bit of a mess in here, and that has to do with, I'm like, okay, I want to get rid of this stuff. I want to give this stuff to friends or whatever. I want to like put this here instead. So I'm doing some of that right now. So there is some double stacking, not much though. And I'm not going to keep it that way because I kind of hate that personally.
You want to see all the things that you got.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I brought that up in one video. Jess inspired that advice for me to have everything on display for the purpose of actually seeing it, knowing that you have it. If you've read it, it helps, but if you haven't read it and it's not on display, then you'll forget it and then buy it again. Sorry, Jess.
And that's his problem now because he's double stacking.
It has happened, and he's not the only one.
Oh, no way. Yeah. I think There's been times where we've all done it. Like, I've definitely done it. I'm way better at it now. I can't even think of the last time I did that. But it's hard when it's like series that you're piecing together. That's when I've run into that problem. Like, I'll go to like a used store and be like, okay, this is volume 7. Do I have that volume? And then I'll try to check it, and I like to take pictures, and it's not a great way to do it. I need to get a better way. But
I mean, I haven't cataloged all of my titles. I have some lists, like reading orders for The Amazing Spider-Man and Batman, just because it's just not volume 1, 2, and 3. It's also just title this, title that you want to get in a chronological order if you want to have a better reading experience. With my preference of reading, at least, still trying to go through a Batman readathon. Or hopefully I'm done with that actually as this video is live. I just remembered we're on a 6-week delay here.
I hope so. Yeah.
So trying to not to give too much time sensitive information within these interviews, but it's still all green and okay to mention. But I make those type of lists, but never like every single title that I have, because I feel like I have the appropriate amount to remember. And
which is important.
And since started pre-ordering also, I'm feeling so much ahead, but also now I'm feeling that the amount of books that I know that is arriving within 8 to 6 months, there in between, it's 20 books right now. 20 books back then used to be 2 months worth of haul, not 8 months.
Yeah.
And that's the real difference. But now I'm more stressed than ever about fitting those books. And back in the day, there was no problem getting in that many books into the shelf.
Because you've constrained that space, right?
Exactly.
So you're like, I have this, that's it.
As well as I don't want it to take up more space. So that means that I have to be more harsh about, okay, do I really want to reread this again, and so on and so forth. And I sort of started putting titles towards one another, or if it was in several medias, I don't know if you watched this, but Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I still haven't. It's one of those I know I'll love, but I haven't done it.
You'll definitely love it.
Yep.
And that also has a printed comic book series from Dark Horse. So what you get with that is a stitching together between the two series, that is Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. So it pretty much picks up right at the end of the first animated series. And it's good quality and all, and they get the voices right. But if I ever were to okay, I have to get some more space and time back from reading all the material. If I were to put them together towards one another, I would sell the graphic novels. The animated series I've rewatched several times and will rewatch even more. So it goes towards what do I enjoy more in the size of quality. A more, let's say, a bigger contrast to that method would be Zack Snyder's Watchmen Blu-ray versus the actual graphic novel by Alan Moore. I probably actually would sell the Alan Moore book because of the time difference, and maybe I would enjoy it more. I mean, I've read it once, and there's, as you know, the Watchmen, it's so loaded with content and wording, and I mean,
it's dense. Yeah,
it's very dense. It's very rich, I would say. So it takes a longer charging time to go back towards it. And it's been almost 10 years now. So, and I've rewatched Watchmen by Zack Snyder way more than 10 times in between that, I'll tell you. So it's more like that. If I could pick and choose to get back some space and time, if I already have the media.
It's funny you say that about Watchmen, because I have my paperback shelf over here, and I only had it in paperback. And I think I did get rid of it recently because I was like, I'm not going to reread this. And if I am, I can get it from the library. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, I don't need to own this, you know?
I mean, if you're going out for the reading and just that experience of it, no matter the format, you can get rid of it. As you said, it's widely available, even in my local library here in Sweden. I mean,
There you go.
We have like 5 comic shops that I know by name in this whole country, and that's like nothing. So when Comic-Con is, it's like the mecca of any nerd here. And because we don't get that exposure of the culture as we would in the US. And yeah, I mean, if I could save up space with other books and just know that I can lend them or buy them again cheaply, that okay. But if I could find them again for a good price, I mean, I think I would do so. But it's a little more of a hassle, as I prefer to order from the US with most of my purchases. And of course, we have comic book sales here, but then we go up with our own stock price and everything. So it's what's more convenient for you, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure it's all a little more difficult for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone better ever since Instax Trades started with international shipping. Like 6 months or 1 year after I've heard of it, I, of course, jumped right into it, making up to 99 orders in total before I told it quits. And I thought that would be the death of my channel, actually, when I put that title up last haul video.
But hey, it wasn't.
I guess it wasn't my last haul video per se. I mean, I did one more experimental unboxing, and I think I'll make another one or two, because it was nice just trying to make it a more cinematic experience, just like sounds and feeling and just watching. I mean, just picking up the book and tell them this looked cool, I'll read it.
Yeah.
I'm so done with that, because it gives the wrong impression of what I want to show, and I guess be more intentional with my influence that I give to the watchers.
Totally makes sense.
That's all personal preference towards not wanting to affect other people to buy something that they maybe won't like, or maybe it's not for them.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of, I guess that brings up the fear of missing out. Do you have any advice on how one would best conquer it? I mean, stay away from it or go around it? Tell me.
It's certainly difficult, because I think, as most people who have been on here have said, we all deal with it at some point in our lives, right? But I think the biggest thing, especially now more than ever, you know, we've dealt with these book production issues we've never experienced before, where things were going out of stock like immediately. Well, now when they go out of stock, they just come back, right? Like, eventually, it may take 5 or 6 months, but most things are reprinted. So it's one of those things where I think now more than ever, we've all been shown that the thing you didn't think would ever get reprinted is getting reprinted.
Yeah.
So just try to remember, you don't need everything right now.
Yeah.
I think that's the best advice I can say, is you really don't need everything right now, because when are you going to read it? We've all had books sitting on our shelves way too long.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there. And it doesn't make you feel great, right? Most of the time. I don't know anyone who's like, that makes me feel good. Like,
I mean, what weighs more, the thought that you might not get the chance to read that book, or the weight that, okay, I'll spend some more money, it's getting out now, I have to get it now? Or the thought of that, okay, I have stacks and stacks around me now and no time to read it. that's exactly why I made that video with, let's see, title. Time is money and all you have is books.
Beautiful title.
I mean, I went through 10 titles before I got to that point. And even then I thought it was kind of harsh. But I guess it was sort of directed towards more comic book collectors, because it really could be tilted towards anyone that just accumulate, and then don't have time to actually enjoy your hobby.
Yeah, it's rough, and I mean, I've definitely been there, and there's plenty behind me that I haven't read yet. And I often think I just need to sell it. I'll get it again someday. And I'm nearly to that point. Like there's several stacks over there of stuff where I'm like, either I'm not getting to this anytime soon, it's been sitting there too long, or I've read it, I'm definitely not going to reread it. Like, why have something I'm never going to touch again? I just don't. I don't see the point there, right? So
I'm totally with you.
Yeah, and I mean, even like recently, you know, it helps that my dad is a huge comic guy and a huge omnibus guy now, because I can't tell you how many like Omni I've had that either I'm not going to touch, or I'm like, I've read this, it's great, but I'm done. Like Gotham Central. You know, people maybe gasped when I said it. Okay, I understand.
I think I just did.
Which I adored. I love it, right? I was like, this is great. This is one of the best DC comics I've ever read. Still stand by it. But it was just sitting behind me, and I knew I wasn't going to touch it anytime this year, at least, right? Like, I read it once. It had sat there, and I loved it. Oh, of course. Okay. Yeah. I read it, loved it, of course. And, you know, I know the reprint's coming out, but I was like, you know what? I'd rather have some extra money in the bank, and I want it off my shelf because it's a chunky beast, right? Like, it's just sitting there, and it's a very big, and it's taking up room. And I want some room. So my dad was like, I'll buy it from you, and I got it off my shelf. So that makes me feel better. And look, It's my dad. So if I really want to read it, I could just be like, hey, let me borrow that. And that's what I'll do. So, you know.
Awesome. I mean,
I feel better about it.
Yeah, and with decluttering the collection and everything, from the things that you feel that, okay, I'll never read this again. I don't think I like this. I don't have time for this. It makes you feel better because you are giving yourself back time. Because I think that has greater value than money, actually. You can't earn money, you can't earn time unless you have a lot of money to buy yourself some more free time. But it's this whole life balance that you'll not necessarily struggle with all life, but maybe it'll take you time to find the balance for it. And that's what's stressing me out, and that's why I make all these videos. I can't. Melanie from Near Mint Conditioning saying that I have a calm sense of a channel. I don't see it that way. I'm happy that she sees it that way. I would stress out as all. Oops, but I just don't see it, because each time I bring up, you don't have enough space, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough money, maybe. But what I'm really saying, that's me. And just trying different methods to find that balance.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing too. I mean, especially if anyone's watching, they're like, well, I've definitely fallen victim to the FOMO. Because again, especially the past few years, we've all been stressed. Okay, we get it. Like, we've all been there. It's no judgment. But I think it's really important we all take a good look at our collection and make sure we're happy with it. Because part of that time, if you're spending time stressing about books you haven't read, that's messed up. You know what I mean? And we've all been there, but it's messed up. Like, that's further time you could be reading instead of thinking about how you have all these books to read.
And it's always... once you get into it, it actually doesn't take that long time, and it actually runs sort of smoothly, I guess, if it's a good read, that is, and you enjoy it. And that helps the more you know yourself. And the only way to know yourself more is to actually read what you got, to have your sense of taste of art or writer. And I get that same sensation more actually when it comes to TV shows, but that's the same thing, right? With you have this long run of comic books, then you have this TV show with like 5 seasons, but everyone says that it's amazing and you should jump into it, but you're like, it's 5 seasons, I don't have the time. We should argue the same with graphic novels and anything. I mean, manga volumes can seem more appropriate maybe to that because a lot of the runs are 20 volumes plus runs, but I would say that we read twice as fast as any graphic novel because just the sheer amount and the reading in chapters, it's all different. So maybe a difficult thing to compare, but still, once you get into it, you'll notice that it actually doesn't take as much time when you start going through it because you are enjoying it.
Well, plus it's... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I felt so with several TV shows. I mean, once I start getting into it, because, I mean, you know, the Netflix list that you have, and there's all these shows, and you don't click on it because you don't think that you have the time. But if you actually go watch that first episode of that season or the pilot, you'll start noticing that, my God, that was 8 hours. I'm done.
Yep, that's exactly it. You're like, oh, that was 5 seasons. I finished that in 2 days. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think bringing up manga is a good point too. Just as a personal thing for like this year, I'd never read any One Piece ever, and
I haven't either.
Well, if you know anything about One Piece, you know it's long, right?
I know it's like 90 plus volumes, or are they up in the hundreds?
They're not quite in English yet, up in the hundreds. I'm not sure if they are in Japan, but yeah, English it's like 90 something volumes. And I was like, I'm never going to touch that, you know? But the beginning of the year, my co-host on Fangirls Assemble, Maddie, was like, let's do this. Let's try to do some One Piece. And I'm over halfway in now. I'm on volume like 70 something. And I'll tell you what about One Piece. You know, because a lot of manga is breezy peasy, right? You can breeze through it and it's easy to, you know, read. One Piece is way more dense than I thought it would be.
Oh yeah,
it really is, and it's like
he has a plan.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. It's a big fantasy series, and I'm all in. So if there's something that's daunting to you though, and you're like, "That's a million volumes, I can't do it." Well, but if you enjoy it, that's a million volumes you get to enjoy, right?
You're gonna want more volumes than they ever made.
Exactly. You're like, why did that end with season 5? Because I wanted 10 seasons.
Oh, I felt that with so many shows.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Hannibal,
I can go on.
Penny Dreadful.
All the things, yeah.
Both, I think, written by the same man, so I thought that was typical.
You know, and so many shows gone too soon, you know?
Yeah.
They've canceled so many of my favorites throughout the years. Firefly, of course.
Before everything, did you used to visit an annual Comic-Con convention?
Yes. We would, you know, it wasn't like, there wasn't a certain one all the time. I live in an area that's, I can do easy day trips into bigger cities. So I'm not in a big city, but I can drive like 2 to 3 hours in a circle and hit a lot of big cities around the Midwest in the United States. So, you know, my husband and I would just find the people we want to go see at whatever con, and we do definitely go to at least one a year. And, you know, that's a blast. We love going to artist alleys, especially, and, you know, do panels sometimes. But yeah, that was a big thing. When I was a teenager, like I said, huge Buffy fan. I mean, I'm still a Buffy fan. Yeah. But my first Comic-Con was, I'm pretty sure I begged my parents to take me to this annual Buffy convention they would do. And it was all Buffy. So nice. It was like tons of Buffy actresses and actors and some from Angel, and they would do that every year. So I went like once when I think it was 13, and then the next year when I was 14, and then I realized, oh, there are other things happening at other places like this, but like for comics. So yeah, that would become a regular thing. I loved it.
Nice. Is the artist alley the first thing that you go to when you get into the hall?
Probably. Yeah. And I think that's especially now with my husband, who he does graphic novels and stuff. He's an artist. You know, we immediately, usually there's people we want to see, And we like to get that done with first, right? Like, especially if there may be lines or, you're waiting around to get your book signed. So yeah, we typically like to do that. And then maybe we'll go to like vendors and stuff.
Nice. I mean, I go all the way. I don't stop. I just film everything, going there with my buddies, and just saying, well, guys, I'll see you later. And then I'm gone for like 2 hours before, okay, I filmed some stuff. What do we actually got here? Because I don't think I've focused really on anything, on what you can buy and so more. And I haven't gone to a Comic-Con now with my new like philosophy and everything on stuff. So I really wonder what would catch my eye now to make me think I need to bring that home.
That is an interesting question for you, right? Because
it is.
Part of the love of going to Comic-Cons is spending probably too much money, right? I mean,
yeah.
Because you want to support the people who are there, you want to get your book signed, and usually that costs money, and you want to buy stuff.
And I mean, I made some finds there. I mean, I found like Dark Horse Tomb Raider books there. I knew were out of print, and I think some other Fear Agent also by Rick Remender. I've yet sold those now, but I still read them, the Tomb Raider once and Rick Remender's Fear Agent twice before doing so. So I know what I was doing. I know. I just couldn't. I felt that Rick Remender actually had stronger work, more so than that, and I didn't just affiliate with the character. Because
that's fair.
I didn't think he was written sympathetic-wise. He didn't regret anything, not even his alcoholism or anything. I don't know if that's small-minded of me, but that's just how I thought that he wrote him. So that's my defense on Fear Agent. But let's see here. Bought some books, of course, because I was looking for that. There's like 2 real booths that actually brought graphic novels with them, and there's not many that bring single issue comics, because as we do have access to the American single issues and everything, but not as frequent in the Swedish culture and everything, because as I said, 5 comic shops by name that I can name. And so the trade paperbacks and collected editions are of course more widely available in bookstores and everything. So that's really what you are looking for and try to find when it comes to the actual comic books and stories. But of course we have places that sell statues or secondhand, or some people that self-made some stuff. The one find that I do remember and still have from a Comic-Con is my Batarang, a Arkham City Batarang, cast in real cold metal and everything.
That's cool.
It could kill a man. I think it can, actually.
You kept that as a weapon.
I've never thrown it in my entire life. I think I still lived at home with my parents when I got it. But if I didn't, I can understand why I've never thrown it. But it could definitely kill a man.
I mean, that's just there in case you need it, right?
I mean, that's what the omnibus are for as well.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Tilt the whole shelf.
They are weapons.
Don't secure it to the wall.
No.
Who knows when you might not need to tilt the bookshelf on a stranger in your bedroom.
Although we'd be like struggling, like, oh no, it's too heavy.
Yeah. This is why you put your books more forward than you actually would want.
That's right. That's right.
To make it easier. This is self-defense. That's
a good reason.
Good God. This became much more morbid than I wanted it to be. This is the Comic Slayer interview.
That's what I give you,
We've gone full circle here. But I won't end it here. But I think if I would go, or if I'm going back to Comic-Con, and
of course,
hopefully this year, I think I'll wear a mask though, because we haven't gotten a third shot yet, because I really want that third shot, because I've been so defensive being in my apartment, the other apartment, for 7 months, just finishing off class and everything, taking my exam. But so it was totally 180, going back to my old hometown, going back to my old job, temporarily, because I mean, with how it is, I'll take it. And just being exposed to people again. And now restrictions in my country has been drawn back completely. It's still just people are aware and everything, and there's a little difference of habit and everything. Just washing hands and everything all the time, and using all of the hand gel sanitizers, much more than I've ever done in my entire life on that workplace. But we're still much more healthier now than ever.
Yeah.
Because as we come out of this, we've learned things. As well as like the constraint briefs creativity. Much more workplaces have become more creative with the situation. And
Very true.
Solutions have been found. We can actually do this more efficient and more effective. There's a lot of people that don't want to go back to work for the ones that have office work. And there's not a single contract out there that actually says that they have to let you stay at home to work if you can.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I have some friends who still, I think, were working remotely. And my job, actually, I was always going to work. Like, it was one of those, I was deemed essential, had to go no matter what, And so nothing, I mean, I guess, of course, stuff changed for me. But as far as like work environment, I'm still around people. We're still wearing masks at work because we're always in and out, and, there's a lot of people. But it's all interesting. I'm not sure I'll get to Comic-Con this year, but I definitely want to go next year.
Yeah. And I would give it another year, but I think I feel secure enough to make the trip. I guess I'll notice once I'm there. If I don't like it, I can just go back, because finally getting a press pass and getting to enter for free this year.
That's awesome. Well, that's worth it for sure.
I don't think I should measure it up with my health and life for a free press pass to a Comic-Con weekend, but still, I want to give it a chance, and I know that people are more aware. I mean, it is okay to ask people to give yourself some personal space. It's just, I noticed that it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't mind. They know why.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're standing any closer, they'll have to buy me dinner.
You tell them that.
Yeah. But yeah, if I were going back just to search and find something, a memorabilia, not only video footage for remembering that Comic-Con, it would probably be some sort of replica that you can't get anywhere else, because that is what that Batarang is. I'll never find that again, because I've never seen that vendor since.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Maybe they noticed that these things actually can kill people.
We're not going back to him.
Okay, let's see here. What is the best thing about the YouTube comic book community in your perspective?
I'd say being a woman on YouTube has had its times, but there's negativity in every community. And for the most part, everyone who comes to our chats, they've been great, and they've been loyal, and, they just want to talk to us about comics. And I love that, because that's the only reason I'm here, right? I just want to talk to people about comics. That's the best thing. So I think they're also, people are really good at bringing people into it, at least, again, from my own community and what I see from people online talking about comics. Very beginner friendly. I don't see a lot of people. Again, there's negative people in every fandom and community, of course. But from what I see around me, they're really good about, you haven't read this yet, I'm not going to make fun of you for that. I just want you to read it, and you should also read this and this and this. And, people are really inviting to people, and I love that, because there are so many, fandoms out there that we could probably think of right now that are really not like that. And they're quick to judge and not be welcoming. And I think it's very different from the community that I've seen in our kind of realm. People are really great. And that's the best part.
Absolutely. And just bring it up, as you said, being a woman in the comic book community and everything. Was that something that you felt that you had to approach differently, or was it just going on? Did you feel that okay, this is like walking into the guy's locker room? No,
I
or
I mean, kind of.
eyes staring. What are you doing here?
We've been doing this. I think Maddie and I have been doing this for like 3 years now. Of course, I have my
Oh,
show
has
on
it only 3 years?
it. I mean, maybe it's been more. Maybe it's been more.
It
I don't
feels
know.
like you've been on forever.
It does feel
In a
that
good
way.
sense. In a good sense,
Yeah.
you've always been there for
Well,
me.
thank you.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think somebody just told us it was our 3rd year. We're not even sure.
Okay.
So maybe it's been more, but it feels like forever and no time at the same time. It's one of those.
Exactly.
But again, for the most part, we have really great people who watch and we love them. But every now and then, to this day, we still get, a rogue comment every now and then I can think of one in particular that I'm not going to recite, but there was this book that we reviewed
Okay.
that we really didn't like. We thought we would. That's the only reason we ever read a book, right?
I mean,
we think we're going to
honest
like it,
opinion.
of course.
Putting it
Right.
out there.
Yeah. So we told people how we felt, and there was just a lot of, rough content in this book that we thought was unnecessary and we really didn't like. And we got 1 or 2 comments that were very angry about our opinion and were very much like, well, you didn't understand the book. And it was one of those things that felt like, okay, you know what? You're not going to tell your bros that. You're just not. Like, it really felt like that kind of situation. There were other words used.
Okay.
But every now and then we'll run into something like that, or like someone who just wants to comment on how we look or something in the chat, and we just ignore it and we move along. But so there are like little things every now and then I'm kind of like, okay, I don't think you would treat other people like this, that you're just coming on here to talk to us about like that. But again, for the most part, things have been great. I feel like if we had more people watching, like if we were a big channel, maybe it would be different, right? Because you're going to get more people out of the woodwork. And
I mean, 5,000 subscribers, I would say that's pretty big.
well, if we were huge, I guess. We were like, I don't know. I think everything gets worse when you get more popular, right? Because again, more people can find you out of nowhere and things like that.
I think that they just can write anything because maybe they won't even see it amongst all the other stuff.
That's exactly it. Yeah, stuff
So
like
they
that.
get away with it.
Right. But again, for the most part, things have been really good. So that's good. And the bros, the Omni bros on the channel, they've been great. They welcomed us in.
Yeah.
They wanted us to have a show on there anyway, and they've been nothing but supportive. So we love them.
I can't think of any other show with such great diversity still that you got in with the Collectors Network. Because
for sure.
You get most people's voices into it, I believe. And that's what makes it so accessible for everyone that want to watch. I mean, you have Gabe and I guess not now, but you have Jess, you have hardcover comic let's see, Weekend Geekdom. I'm trying to remember their YouTube.
Names. Luke Comic Side 101.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Omnibus Collector Riley. Did we get everyone? I think so.
And then there's Fangirls, and then Omar, I guess, drops in and out whenever he wants to and has time when he's not making content for his own channel. But I mean, you have a wide variety of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I'm like trying to bring it into this also now by interviewing people as well. And I think you're the third woman that I've actually had the pleasure to interview now, because I did have that interview with Laura from the Married with Comics channel, and then I spoke with her and her husband about like breaking up the stereotype of comic book collectors, because and you and your husband, you're all both comic book collectors as well. So I mean, that's also breaking the stereotype, because we get so much with okay, I got this box now. I need to hide it from the missus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, so I asked them, are you both hiding stuff from each other, or are you like open with it? Because I mean, in the end, you'll have to either run out of space of hiding places or money or something. I mean, if both were to play that game, if it wasn't open and honest, collecting and living, I mean, because it sort of sounds like that when it's one-sided, when it's just one party that's into it.
That's so funny you say that, because I feel like more than anywhere else, you're in the, well, you used to be in the comic group that we, we're in.
Yeah.
But I still see that all the time. And it's always guys posting, I gotta hide this from my wife. I bought this really expensive iced tea order or whatever it is. And I just gotta tell you, I just roll my eyes every time. I'm like, one, you should really have an honest relationship. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not funny. And two, it would be like the total opposite with me and my husband. If I didn't honestly talk to him about finances, I just don't know how you're in, especially marriages, because it's always hide from my wife, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I definitely buy more books than my husband, and I read way more than he does. But that's just because he's working on his own books. So he's usually...
that also justifies that buying more, because you read more, so you get more content done.
Right, absolutely. So I'm the one reading more, and he's the one writing and drawing more.
Yeah, so you're not standing above his shoulder like, I've read 10 books this month. Right. How many have you made?
Although sometimes I'm like, hey, you bought this book, you should really read it. Like, I do let him know sometimes. Or
working, dear, working.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'm like, this was amazing, you have to read it right now, and he usually doesn't. And sometimes he does. But yeah, mostly it's me trying to push things I like on him.
Well, but that's good, because then it's filtered through you. So, and if he trusts your judgment and everything, which he should, he'll go ahead and read it, right?
Yeah, and the things he has trusted my judgment on, he's loved, and I'm like, I knew it. I knew what you liked. I know. We have our thoughts on comics usually cross. Again, I read way more, so it's hard to know. He likes some weird stuff, so it doesn't always add up. But I know what he likes. That's the point, and so I can recommend him stuff. But yeah, more than anything, I just see those like constant wife jokes. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, because if I were to line it up and everything, I mean, if you are, so this is me trying to analyze this type of comment, or if it's all joke and we have no humor, I guess we have no humor, right?
Right.
Or it is that we've heard the same joke 100 times now. So do you or do you not have, I'm not asking you actually, but do you have shared economy with your spouse? Because if that's the case, then yes, maybe you should actually hide that, what you have bought with your shared economy money. But if you have individual incomes and individual to a certain amount of money, maybe that you are, this is what I get to spend this month, this is what you get to spend this month. I mean, what is the problem with hiding it? Be open about it. And this is what you've chosen to lay your money on or spend your money on this week. So why hide it? They should know that you're a comic book collector by this time, by any time that they've gone into a relationship. Hiding 2.5 Calyx or Billy Shells.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm so with you. Like, again, it's funny because maybe it is a joke this whole time, but it really feels serious a lot. It really does. And I'm like, y'all just have there's some major trust issues in your relationship, more than the books. You just need to trust each other and talk about things.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to understand that. They don't have to read them. They just have to accept you.
Yep.
You can tell them that next time you're standing there with the boxes. You just have to love me, baby. No,
that's exactly it.
I can't believe that's the first time I worded the word baby on my channel, I think.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Oh dear God. I'm just... I'm full of surprises today for myself.
You're like, I'm gonna cut that out.
It's probably the half asleep part that's affecting this. Here's a question that I wanted you to prepare for, because it's sort of new. I think I brought it up like 2 or 3 times. Name a book that you would want universal availability, hard words, and understanding for everybody who is into comics. So any comic book fan, you would want everyone to have this, and you would want everyone to understand and like it, basically.
Well,
If you could grant that.
I think it's going to be, for anyone who knows anything about me, which a lot of people watching may not know, I'm a big Essex County fan, but Jeff Lemire, I just have this here to be ready for this. This is the fancy slipcase edition you can't get anymore, so I'm sorry. But I wish you could. Honestly, I don't need it to be fancy and rare. I just want everyone to have it. I think it's very beautiful. It's very nicely done as a book. But also, I just love the content. I read this back when it came out. It's been over, I want to say, at least 10 years, I think. And
probably. It's been around as long as I've
been. It's been a very long time. And I read it nearly when it came out. And I wasn't like super into collecting at the time. I'd read something every now and then. I think that was when I was really kind of dabbling beyond what I'd read. Like, when I was a teenager, I read like Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane. I got a lot of Spider-Man in back then. Scott Pilgrim, the Buffy comics. And then I went to college, and I feel like I was branching out more into like what there was. And when I picked this up, which I got from the library, not this copy, that'd be weird, but I got a paperback at the library. Did I know what? Yeah, I think I knew what it was at the time. I was like seeking it out, and I read it and loved it. I loved everything about it. It's still my favorite to this day.
Nice.
I feel like it's hard to describe. It's very emotional though. When I pick up a comic, more than anything, I want to feel something. So even if I end up hating it, I felt something, right? But I loved this. And I got a Essex County tattoo, okay?
Oh,
I feel a lot of things. Yeah. You got your Batman tattoo, I got my Essex County tattoo.
Guilty.
We felt something clearly, and we wanted that. So that's become a part of us.
I just thought it looked cool. So.
It does look cool, so that counts.
No. But yeah, definitely other reasons.
But yeah, that's the one.
Awesome. I actually, confession time, I've never actually read Essex County.
You should try it out. Have you read any Jeff Lemire, like his stuff that he's done, his creator stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay.
His own creator stuff. I mean, I guess Sweet Tooth should count, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he had free range. He did both the writing and the artwork for that one. I'm actually not the biggest fan of his artwork per se, but with Sweet Tooth, it comes to the clash of the writing is just so good that it doesn't matter what I'm shown. He is showing me what I need to see. So I'll take it in any media form that it is. It's so good that I haven't continued with a Netflix series. I watched the pilot for that show, but I felt that the mood was a little different. We have the same sort of problem with Lock and Key by Joe Hill. That's also a different sort of aura about it. But I continue with Lock and Key. I did not with Sweet Tooth, and that was because, yes, the memory of Sweet Tooth and the first time that I read it full on through, it's just too pure, too good. I don't want to like break the spell by watching it in another media form because I'm fine and satisfied with what I've got.
And that's fair. And I adore Sweet Tooth, the comic book, but I'll tell you what, I also adore Sweet Tooth, the TV series.
Really?
And the things they've changed, one, Jeff Lemire was on set for some of it. And I mean, he was all about it. He was like, yes, I approve of this adaptation. Here we go. And, for an adaptation, I don't need everything to be exactly how the comic was personally, as long as it's still great. And I'll tell you what, it's one of the best things I've watched this year. It was that good. So if you ever want to step into it again, knowing it's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's very heartwarming. It's a good story, and the way they're doing it, like, I really like, as a huge Sweet Tooth fan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of have to now, right? I mean, they're setting it up for at least 3 seasons of a show,
Hmm.
I would assume, with the content that they got. Or how much would you say that first season covers when it comes to the actual comic book material?
There has to at least be one more, but I think they could keep it going. And with what I think they're changing, there's some things I'm not certain about yet what they're doing, but I think they've also changed enough where it could it could be its own series if they want to do that. It could go beyond even, but yeah, I guess it depends. I think it was really successful though. I think they have a season 2 for sure,
Yeah,
so that's good.
because what you don't really want, or I guess what I don't want at least, is that they go off script totally and just making like filler episodes.
Hmm.
And I mean, sometimes that could be good, but for most time, you sort of want to keep that red line and walk it. Uh, Why the Last Man has premiered on Disney Plus. I haven't started watching that yet. That's also for the same reason that I've read Why the Last Man like twice now, and strong feelings. Like you said, anytime that you actually get a feeling, I mean, I think I kept some books that I hated for a while just because it at least gave me an emotional reaction.
Yeah, better than
Um,
nothing.
yeah, but then there's the type of wrong, negative, hateful reaction, like the All-Star Batman and Robin. That I just, it was just a bad work. It wasn't the story
Hmm.
that made me hate it, or maybe it was like, this is not my Batman. But I mean, totally stand behind it. Just keeping something that has emotional value and everything. And I'm also for them adapting for a different sort of timeline, but still sort of into the comic. I mean, The Walking Dead did this, right? I mean,
Hmm.
they gave certain fates and deaths to other characters that you weren't
Yeah.
prepared for, just to so that even the comic book readers could get excited. And I mean, oh, I wasn't prepared for that. He still lives, she still lives, and vice versa, so that they couldn't predict what's actually going to happen within the show. So I can see that in trying to make it fun even for the veterans that already know the source material.
Yeah, that's how it felt to me. It was like I can see the faithfulness in this character, this character. Maybe this one's more fleshed out even than we get in the story, like the comic. Maybe if Lemire had X amount more issues, he would have also done this thing. Like, but then the characters that you really loved are depicted really well. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a great adaptation in its own right. It's a great thing they're doing.
I really should stand behind that more, because I try to be more open, because always when there's a new DC movie, I automatically I become the defense attorney for DC. Not necessarily Warner Brothers, but for the production itself and the content that we get. So people are saying that, okay, this is wrong, this is bad, and so on and so forth. But I'm telling them, okay, so it's not 100% what Batman would do.
Hmm.
He killed a guy. But then again, if you don't want that, then read the comic or watch the Batman animated series, and you'll get that type of Batman. What we're getting now is another person's interpretation of it. If you
Hmm.
want your interpretation of it, make the movie.
Yeah.
That's quite harsh, but I mean, isn't it still fair?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I'm
mean,
telling you, you should go back into Sweet Tooth thinking like that. You may enjoy it.
yeah, I guess I have to. I've
I would like you to.
I've walked into a corner here.
Now I'm gonna message you in like 5 days and be like, "Have you done it yet?"
5 days, I can
Yeah, just
totally
five
make
days.
it. I mean, if I scratch off Lego Masters and everything else that I'm watching, I could definitely scratch it up in five
It's like
days.
8 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even 10. I mean, like, as I said, when you start watching something and you enjoy it, suddenly 8 hours.
Yep. And you're like, what I do today? Oh, I guess I just watched this.
Yeah, and I think I watched like Superman Lois in 2 days, 15 episodes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But it was so good.
That's what happens, right?
Have you watched the TV show yourself?
You know what? I haven't. And I think I'm on record quite a bit saying I'm not the biggest Superman fan, but I've been interested in the show because the promos look good.
Actually, they poured money into the effects and everything, making him look good. It's like the first episode, I would say, is movie quality, high budget. And
Nice.
I mean, it's CW, but still HBO. I don't know really where in between this series is landing because it does have some tie-ins into the CW universe, which started with Arrow and the Flash, as you know. So it's like one character jumping in to actually acknowledge them to be connected to this bigger universe. But the overall story isn't affected at all. It's this whole new thing, and it actually worked. Did you know that? Because you'll see this in the first episode, so it's no secret. But did you know that Lois Lane and Clark Kent in the TV show has twins instead of just one son?
Oh no, interesting.
So
Okay.
so it's Jordan and Jonathan.
Okay.
So he's named both his children after his both fathers, his biological and adopted.
Wow. I may have to check it out.
I really like just that part because I didn't overthink Jordan first, but then, Jor-El. Yeah, right. So yeah, I definitely recommend that. But of course, we all have our infinite lists on Netflix and other medias. I'm really excited for. Sorry for bringing up just TV shows now. I hope you enjoy
I love it.
Okay, good. Because in Scandinavia, we have yet to receive HBO Max. But in the end of this month, recording this, we are getting it. So
Nice.
there's so much I'm gonna rewatch and watch for the first time.
There's so much good stuff.
And I hope that we get the full plate of it because there's always different licenses and everything whenever it gets into Europe or Scandinavia. And I mean, I don't know what would affect it, but I hope we would get most of the content that is available in the US. Very much looking forward for like all the Bruce Timm stuff, animated shows, Justice League Unlimited, Superman animated series that would get a Blu-ray release, but it feels like just won't happen.
Yeah, I hope all that's there for you. Yeah, because there's tons of good stuff on there.
Rewatching the Harley Quinn TV show, the animated series.
Yeah, I've still never done that.
Oh,
I know.
I can't believe it's
Maddie another one I know I love. Yeah, she's wanted to. Yeah, she's been like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I got distracted by something else."
Let me minimize this for you in time then, because it's 2 seasons. I think it's 10 episodes per season. 20 minutes. 20-minute episodes. That's 8 hours for you.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Getting through. That's 2 days worth if you're binging it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's doable. I will do it. You do Sweet Tooth, I'll do that. Okay, deal.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And I mean, going back now, just because I used that type of measurement just to get you to do something, maybe. I've used that TV show thing and the runtime thing with my collection as well. Because that's one thing that I've also used to, like, with do I have time for this? Do I have money for this? And so on and so forth. Could you imagine how everybody would think different if we had a approximate runtime of how long this will take you to read?
Absolutely.
Just like it would be watching a TV show, like on the back of a box set, it says like 70,000 hours, or what am I saying, 7,000 hours, something like that. Because that's like 10 seasons of any 40-minute show that had that many episodes, like 20 episodes per season. That's a lot of time. And how would that stand against One Piece with 90 plus volumes? I mean, it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
But all we see is like page count numbers. That's about it.
It's a lot of time, but I also feel like that may help a lot of people. Like, I feel like that would help my mindset with certain things. You know, like I have some series, you know, not like really long series, but some series that have been sitting on my shelf, like Six Gun, right? That's like 9 volumes. I have 9 trades that I've had for a bit.
Trades, yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't read it. It's been sitting there. I got it in a great, like really cheap bundle deal, right? Because I wait around for cheap stuff and then I get bundle deals. But
That's good.
And it's been sitting there. If I had a runtime on that and it was like, hey, you can finish this in like, I don't know. I don't even know what kind of hours to put on that. But I feel like... Have you read it?
Yeah, I've read it.
Yeah.
And it's such a quick read, I would say. Do you I mean, that's a personal preference thing, or how you see yourself do you think that you're a fast reader, would you say?
I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I do.
I mean, because every time that I've just finished off a novel and then going back into comic books, I just flew by them.
Yeah, and I know it varies, right? Obviously. Because you were like, that's a quick read, but then, I don't know, pick up something by Chris Claremont, and you're like, that's not quite a quick read, right?
No, definitely not. So I guess that would be something that maybe would keep you in the same place for a while, maybe. But I mean, for the average writer that has a fluent dialogue and everything, because I don't know, I don't think I should put Chris Claremont against Brian Michael Bendis. Someone might see this, but dialogue-wise, I mean, there's just as many word bubbles and everything. But I would say that Brian Michael Bendis, in the way that he has written his dialogues, I never fear whenever I open up a spread page and there's word bubbles everywhere. Most oftentimes you would tilt back and be like, no.
Absolutely.
I'm because you want to keep that flow of getting to the next page. At least I do. But I know what I'm going to read is going to be fluent. It's going to be like watching a TV show with dialogue going on. That's how I feel. So I feel secure even when approaching a spread page like that with rich dialogue. Shouldn't say heavy.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think with me, it's just like, oh, that's a whole series, and it may not seem that long, but I feel like I got to pick it up and dedicate myself, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those, it's kind of like a show, right? You're like, oh, this is 5 seasons.
Yeah.
If I can just get into that first season, I'm good, and I'll keep going. So I think part of my issue in some of my unread stuff is just like, oh, that's a series. Okay, I'm going to go over here to something that's standalone that I know I can get through. But if I had the runtime, if it was like, hey, this would only take you however long, maybe that would help my mindset, you know?
And I would say it's still a quick read. Is the 9 trade paperbacks the complete set?
Yes.
Good. Because I would just throw a number out there, and I would say barely 4 hours.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize it was that quick of a read.
I mean, it's very fluent. It doesn't have more text than necessary.
Good deal. Well, now I have a list of stuff I got to do, right? I got to watch Harley Quinn. I got to read the Six Gun now. I'm writing it down.
I've written a lot of stuff down, mostly the parts where I swear.
Yeah.
But making a list, actually, and hope to God that I made this video now, once this interview is out. But I talked with Adam from Comic Bound about this, and just making a list, it just by that, it's a 40-something% chance better that you're actually going to make it or do it if you write it down pencil-wise, or notebook on your phone or anything. Just write it down what you want to do. I mean, if it's on the day, the week, the month. I mean, if you actually set goals, not just thinking about it, just looking at it, shrug your shoulders and think, oh yeah, that one. I really think, because it worked for me, because in recent weeks, I felt that, oh my God, I haven't done anything really. And something else that I haven't done is that, oh yeah, I haven't written anything down really. I haven't set any goals for me, so therefore there's no goals for me to strive towards. So, but just writing down what you want to do for the day or the week, I mean, it actually helps. And then there's of course deadlines also. Time sensitive matter, but I'm going to be, and I have been on Old Reader, New Reader for the second time now, reading Revival. By this video, publishing 6 weeks later, I haven't read more than one volume of Revival, but I'm going to finish up the whole run before doing it. So I have, oh God, I have 3 days. But
should get on it.
I've read the series before, and I know that I'll read it quickly. So, but still, I really should have read it a long time ago. But if I've managed my time more better and written down, maybe I wouldn't stress out about reading 3 books in 3 days. But really, I've read more. But I've read more in a day.
Yeah, I'm with you. The writing down thing helps me too. Like I have a physical like planner, like a weekly planner, you know, and I'm able to like, you know, got my work schedule in there, and I always have, there's like a list on the side, and I always put, okay, here are the books you need to like finish this week, or you need to get started, because usually it's what I call homework reading for shows. So I'm like, okay, by this time I have to have this done because it's homework. But it does help just having it there and visually seeing it. When I like look at it every day, I'm like, okay, I can check that off when I'm done. I gotta do this. So that's part of why I have some unread stuff too. If I'm not reading for a show, I may not pick it up.
But it's still fun homework, right?
Yeah, it's fun homework.
Yeah.
But it feels like I have a deadline, because I do, right?
Yeah, but it's not a chore.
No.
Good, because bringing this up again. I made one video. Now I can't remember which one, but I compared like buying books and not reading them with like doing the dishes.
Yeah.
It's such a weird comparison.
No,
really.
that's true though. Yeah, like I feel that.
Because that's a chore, but your reading is for fun. But I mean, with enough backlog,
yeah,
it sure feels like it.
Yeah.
Because so I never asked you this, I guess, but I mean, do you buy books monthly basis, would you say, or is it just whenever you feel like?
You know, I think you mentioned earlier that you're doing the pre-order thing now. Is that right?
Yeah. So I do it actually every month now, just to keep rolling, because there is something that interests me each month, but it's like between 1 to 3 books.
Yeah, and that's usually like, I have things on my radar that are coming out that I like really want, and I haven't been pre-ordering, and mostly that's just, you know, if I pre-ordered everything I wanted, it would be ridiculous, because I do want to read a lot, right? So I don't know that I can, like, personally for me, look at something however months in advance and be like, okay, for sure I want this in 6 months, because I may change my mind, right?
Yeah.
I just may. So usually I'm looking at previews every week, and I'm like, okay, if there's something really, like, I really want coming out really bad, then I'm probably going to get it that week. But I never go crazy, you know, and a lot of my stuff, when I do, quote unquote, like, you know, go crazy, you know, we'll take day trips every now and then and hit up like a place called Half Price Books here, which everything's half price or less. Sometimes more, I guess. They have some out of print stuff, and it's like, what do you do in half price? But all right. But, you know, and that's when Reid and I will be like, okay, literally judging books by covers and interior art and being like, well, this is so dirt cheap that I feel like I'm going to give it a shot. So we do have, like, we've accumulated stuff from that. And sometimes they're duds. Okay, of course. Sometimes it's the best stuff. And you're like, wow, had I not seen it at Half Price Books for like $2 and picked it up and gave it a shot, I never would have done it. So it depends. If we're, you know, and right now, of course, we don't go out of town a lot, but that's when I like kind of accumulate more than I probably should. Okay. It's some of that stuff around here. I'm like, okay, I got to read through this stuff. A lot of it's like little things, so it's not hard. And I either keep it forever and love it, or it goes somewhere else and I sell it off.
Yeah, and as I said, I mean, I'm with pre-ordering. I've been a little more stressed about it because why I started it was because I didn't want to be a, what did you call it, Wednesday warrior?
Wednesday warrior,
because
yeah.
That's how I felt like being a
Yeah.
Tuesday warrior. I mean, with the pre-orders every week, or what am I saying? Going to in-stock trades every Tuesday, and just if you're not in the first 2 minutes, you wouldn't get that book. And just pushing F5, reloading the screen, and okay, the books are out. Okay, cart. Oh my god, it's frozen. Okay, I made it. But it feels the most intenseful, stressful 5 minutes in the week definitely were. But let's see here, it's like 3 p.m. right on Tuesday afternoon, and 9 o'clock for me. But I mean, I didn't want to do that anymore. So finally found a way. Pre-order the books. But I also wanted to pay for the books right away, so that I don't have to think about it, that anytime I will be charged for books that are shipping to me. So paid it right away. So now I have 20 books all paid for, coming to me at some point. But by that, it does make me accountable for what I pre-ordered. So I have to check my impulses. What here do I actually want? And it's not affected by other people speaking highly about it. Or if it's something new, I have to background check it if it's really something that I would enjoy.
Well, it sounds like your method makes total sense. Part of my thing too is I read a lot from the library that I maybe would have bought if they didn't have. And usually that's the kind of thing where like it'll come out and then they'll have it or they won't have it. So I do check that sort of thing too. Like I'll look at their coming soon list and be like, okay, this, I don't need to buy this. So I'm going to go here and not buy that and I'll get something else, you know? And that's really helped me. You know, if you have a good, I know not everybody has it. You know, I'm really lucky to have a really good library system. Yeah. I even request things from them to purchase and they'll do it. And we have a lot of great graphic novels there. So some series I only read from the library. I'm like, I don't need it.
Half your actual collections at the library.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I don't need to own everything. Even like some of my favorite books of all time, I've read from the library. I've still never purchased. Like people will be like, "Where's that book?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just don't. It's at the library. Like I don't have it."
You don't like, need it to prove it that you've read it or anything.
Yeah. I mean, again, even things I love, I'm like, I don't need it to sit there. I'll buy something else. I've read that thing.
And that type of detachment from the actual physical, I think, is very healthy.
I agree.
What makes you a comic book fan?
You know, I know you've asked people this. I've been thinking about it, which plays into the fandom question, right?
Yes.
So
sneaky.
Just predicting the future. I feel like I said it earlier best. You know, I pick up comics because I want to feel something, right? Like that's the best part about it. If you can read something and keep thinking about it for hours after that, days after that, it's making you feel something and it's doing something positive in your life. Again, even if, because I've read some books that I've really not enjoyed, but then I'll go to like my friend Jess, right? And I'll be like, this book was terrible and here's why. And he will just laugh the whole time, or he'll also not like the book. And that alone is a joyful experience that we had, right? Even though I read a thing I didn't like, the act of talking about it with someone else who's a comic fan was just such a good time, right? So I think more than anything, you don't, like you said, you don't have to buy a single comic book to be a comic book fan. You just have to read it, enjoy it, feel something, and hopefully, you know, talk with us about it, right? You and I, people online, talk to us about it because we want to talk to you about it.
Definitely. Awesome. And surprise, surprise, how would you describe your fandom?
I feel like this is a hard question,
I mean,
but
it's philosophical if you want
yeah,
to. It's
I feel like I think about my fandom has pretty much become a part of my personality at this point, right? It's been a huge part of my life for a big chunk of my life now. You know, my favorite parts of like being a teenager is going to those Buffy cons, right? And going to Comic Cons with my dad after that. I went to like a Comic Con with my parents. I think I paid for my dad to get a picture with Stanley, you know, and that he was like a childhood huge comic fan, right? Big Stanley fan, huge Jack Kirby fan, and it just like I love that he has that picture now in his own comic room in his house. And I was
nice.
able to be a part of that and like help make that happen, right? So it's just become like some of my favorite memories, even with my family, have to do with experiencing that sort of fandom, you know? And I mean, it's on my body, right? Like,
Yeah,
like forever. Like this is a part of me.
definitely. And yes, great. I never thought of it like that. I mean, I don't know why. I didn't. I'm not the person that I thought was gonna get a tattoo ever, and then it's a Batman tattoo. But what? Let's see here. I'll go first. Then you'll explain why
Okay.
you got your tattoo. If it's just pure fandom, it looked cool. That's awesome as well. But I think I mean, Batman had just been the first tattoo that I got was the symbol. Two reasons, or several, two big ones. One, and this is the lamest part. One of my favorite singers at the time had a similar Batman tattoo on the same place on his left arm
Nice.
or right arm. I don't know. But it was like the Tim Burton Batman symbol from the first movie. So it has like, for detail's sake, one extra wing tip. And this one is more like the poster, I guess. So it has had much more stronger yellow color in it when it was brand new. So I have to recolor this definitely someday. But also, just the symbol itself, Batman has been with me. Oops, sorry. Batman has been with me in some iteration or form my entire life. I haven't read comic books my entire life, but I mean, like one of my earliest memories is like watching Batman the animated series, very first episode on Leather Wings, just freaking the hell out watching Man-Bat being created. That's one of the greatest animated sequences, by the way, from that series. And I mean, what Batman then later on, as you read the character, resembles. I mean, because with this character that's like in the shadows, trying to hide away from connection and everything, it's really not, as we see by a huge assembly of a Bat family. I mean, I think Batman resembles family more than any other character in that sense. I mean, even if it's in silence, it's surrounding yourself with people that you trust and everything. That's some philosophical way to look around it. Also, it looks cool, I think.
That matters. Yeah, that matters.
That matters. And then the other tattoo is just like a Gabriel Delodo sketch that I found. I wanted something that nobody else would have gotten, so it was an unfinished Gabriel Delodo Batman sketch that I asked my tattoo artist to finish. So then I got that because it was, I mean, with all the Batman images that you have and all the artists, I mean, it was so hard to pinpoint one. I don't regret this at all. But I was thinking, what picture could capture this almighty character all in once? I mean, the tattoo is basically a cape and a forearm, if you would look at it, but not really. But trying to find just one picture to depict that one character for your entire life and on your body, you have to narrow it down, I can tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yours look great, so that's good.
Thank you. And that's a short explanation. Now, please share.
Yeah, mine. I think I mentioned that I feel like Essex County kind of got me rolling into this whole super fandom of comic books, more than anything. Especially, I was like, oh man, I had no idea with the kind of material I'd read up to that point, which was a lot of Marvel from my dad, and there was some Scott Pilgrim and some other stuff thrown around, but I didn't know comic books could be like that, right? Like at the time, I just had no idea. It was not in my realm. And I was like, man, I just remember it really affecting me. It was so amazing. And that Crow, you haven't read it, but you will one day. Maybe you'll do it after this. Have your list of things I'm telling you to do.
It's here. I've written down things.
I have too. Show. I got a pen. It's happening. But I just feel like, so in the book, there's this crow there are these 3 connecting stories throughout the book, and there's this crow that's also flying throughout panels of each of these stories, right? Which really connects everything together. So it just, again, what it meant to me at the time and what it kind of did to my life. I thought about it for years before I got it. They say to do that sometimes. Really think about the tattoos you get. And I feel like I really thought about that one,
Do that.
Please do that,
Be sober.
Yes.
Think about it.
Yes. I even printed out a picture and had it on my arm. I was like, does that look okay? I had a whole thing.
Definitely should do that. The size and everything. Check
that. Absolutely. Be serious about your tattoos. But yeah, it just felt like it was a great symbol of the story itself, but then also kind of the broader of what it meant to me, and it makes me feel things still. Not just the story, but I'm like, I don't regret that even for a second, because now I can feel that it's all on me. Like I can be reminded of that time in my life too. And and I think it kind of looks cool.
Yeah. Awesome. And now we've beaten Tyler's time.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to, of course, Fangirls Assemble.
Yes.
Awesome. I can't believe I haven't brought it up now, 1.5 hours in. But that's of course on the Omnibus, or what am I saying? The Omnibus Collectors Network channel.
Yes.
You'll find them, your show. You're also on Jess' show.
Yes, Omnidog's Vault. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have shows bi-monthly together.
It's only bi-monthly. It feels like, time.
I know time is hard. It's hard.
It just takes 3 channels and you'll get 9 live shows per week.
That's true.
And if you know what channels I'm subscribed to, I'm right. Let's see here. Reid reads books.
Please read Reid's books. I have some here to show, but this is his newest one, Diabetes is for Lovers, by Reid Chancellor. He has an online store, reidchancellor.storenvy.com. They're mostly all autobio comics about his life. I'm seeing what I can kind of show you here. This one in particular is about his life and struggles with type 1 diabetes. A portion of the proceeds goes to T1 International, which is a great company that wants to make insulin accessible for everyone, because why isn't it? It should be. So there's stuff like that. There's Sad Religion, which is another. This is nice oversized. Look at it against my head. You don't know what size my head is. Where's the regular trade? Here, let's get 6-gun. Okay.
Oh,
that's
so
pretty
oversized.
Big. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice oversized. It's good quality. But this is another collection of his life and stuff. And he's great. So you should support him. Support my life.
And of course, we'll have links where they are available down in the description. And yeah, that's the first time I actually think I make a proper actually go ahead and check out this book on this channel for quite a while now.
Well, I
But
appreciate you letting me do that.
I'm happy to do so. So, and last question before we leave: where can people find you? Your channels,
Well, you
or
can
accounts, or
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at the Comic Slayer, where there will be books I'm reading and various pictures of my cute cats with those books because they're cute. You can also find me on the Omnibus Collectors channel, like you said, Fangirls Assemble, and again, bi-monthly most of the time on Omnidog's Vault. I do have a YouTube channel that I may go back to eventually, so it does exist. If you want to look up the Comic Slayer, I should get back to it. Maybe this whole show will inspire me to do that.
I hope so.
I'll read The Six Gun. I'll go back to my channel.
Yeah.
I'll watch Harley Quinn. I got it all.
Oh, do you want me to link your Goodreads as well so people can keep track on you whenever you
sure.
read Six Gun?
Sure, you can judge me on what I'm reading and what I haven't. That'll be great.
Do you frequently go into Goodreads and do you just post star reviews, or do you actually write your reviews?
Usually it's just stars, but if I'm super inspired one way or the other, like if I really love something and I want to talk about it, I will leave an actual like review with text. If I really hate something, I'll usually do the same. So okay. I usually have to be like extremely on either side.
I tried to do a monthly review video. I haven't done one for the month of September because it was all gaming all month. So like, okay, nothing. This feels weird, and I have a challenge to complete. You have an insane challenge going on Goodreads.
Yeah, it's not good.
How's it going?
It's not good. So at the beginning of the year, I don't know why I did this to myself. And I know you need to talk sense into me because you're like, you need to actually, I understand. I understand what you're probably thinking. But I was like, yeah, I'll set it at 1,000 because I'm out of my mind. I don't know what I was thinking.
Maybe I was takes care of 10% of that.
I mean, I really thought, and I'm in the 70s, so that's taken some. But I'm not. It's not good. It's October. People have asked me if you get near the end of the year, are you going to change your goal? Well, absolutely, because I want to finish my goal, even if it's different. Like I'm not going to be that hard on myself, you know.
That's good.
But for right now, it's still 1,000, and I'm nearly 50%.
Nice.
I'm almost at 500, but it's October.
More than I have time for. Yeah.
So, well, and I read a nice mixture, right? I'll read a trade here and there. I'll also read an Omni. I read some single issues on Hoopla, so.
I mean, if you start counting just single issues, you're golden.
I should do that. I should just go back and be like, no. I'm really weird about it though. Like I'm like, it has to be in the format I read it in. Yeah. Because I do like to go back, like, I can go back like 5 years now and be like, what did I read that year? And how did I read it? Yeah. And that's fun.
I backlogged, like before I entered Goodreads, I already made lists for myself on what I read each month, just for my self-enjoyment and to actually get a space of how much do I read per year. So in between like 180 to 200 books maybe per year. And now I wanted my collection to like reflect that. Okay, can I get my collection down to the size that I can finish this off in 2 years going lap to lap or around the whole collection? That would be awesome, because if I had that time, because other things are going to enter the life at some point. I mean, I want to have a family at some point, and I know I won't have any time then, but it's all adjusting for different situations and everything. So I'm not that time positive as I said. I can't.
Yeah.
Can't believe
that's a good goal though.
Yeah. So Kristen, thank you so much for doing the longest episode of Finding Fandom so far. I've really enjoyed this. I hope you have as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I love the series. I can't wait to watch more.
Awesome. I hope I can bring more. And if people are interested, you can hit me up on the channel. There's an email on the channel page. Once again, thanks so much for watching, everybody. This is Yogi Comic Center. this Comic Slayer. Bye bye, everybody.